Cricket, tell him what time it is. Yeah, it's fall. It's fall, and I've got books to read, which means we need to put together a fall TBR before we get too far into fall, and this doesn't matter anymore. For my fall TBR, I've sort of decided to break down my ideas into, I know I want to read this soon. I know I want to read this, but not as soon as the other ones, and I don't know, maybe we'll get to it in the fall and maybe we won't. I am a very indecisive reader. If I find something on Libby that sounds better than what I have in my book collection at the time, I'll probably just read that instead. But I am really making a conscious effort to get through my physical books, and I have a bunch that I've been saving for this season specifically, and so it would be ridiculous if I didn't try to read some of them. So I guess the first book that I should put on my fall TBR, because I'm reading it currently, is Broiler. This is one of those books that I had sitting on my shelf for over a year and finally got around to starting a couple days ago. It is sort of a thriller that is based around the happenings of this chicken farm, and so it talks a lot about sort of management and working class discrepancies, and also how that dynamic is different when the employees are undocumented workers. And so with today's current political climate, I think this is super interesting and I'm loving it so far. It does give me kind of fall vibes. It's not like a downright fall book, but something about the chickens and the crime make me think about fall. I don't know why, but we're not going to question it. So book number 1 on my fall TBR is Broiler. I should finish this up pretty quick. It's going quick, and I know that the book that I want to read after this is The Night in the Moth. I'm so excited about this book. I flew through One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns earlier this year, and something about the gothic-y vibes of this book is giving me the perfect sort of fall ambiance that I think will be nice after reading a thriller, go into more of a fantasy world, and I'm really excited about this. I think that it's going to be one of my favorite reads of the year. After that, I have a couple other books that I know I want to read sooner than later. One of those being The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I was influenced into getting this book because a different YouTuber, her name is Wild Fern, and I think she has a vlog channel called Cozy Plant Lady. She talked about this book on her channel and read the first sentence, and so I'm gonna do the same thing here because alright, so the first sentence of this book reads, "On my 4th birthday, I plucked 6 severed fingers from the shower drain." You're kidding me. Say less. Fall. This is giving early October, we're putting up spooky decorations vibes, and I'm here for it. So I'm trying to aim for early October, so I don't know when exactly that will be, but that's when I hope to read this one, and I can't wait. Yeah. Make sure you read the trigger warnings on this before deciding that you also want to read it. The last book that's on like my short list, want to read soon, TBR, is The Unmaking of June Farrow. I've also had this on my shelf for a very long time, sort of similar to Broiler, and I'm excited to jump into this. I've read the first chapter of this probably like 5 times, and it's just never felt like the right time to read it, but I think that fall is going to do that for me. Something about like the small towny sort of tidbits of magic, family dynamics, disappearance things that say fall to me. And so I'm gonna read this one soon. I'm gonna make myself do it. So now we're on to the books that I know I want to read in the fall, but I'm not sure exactly when. I think I'll just have to wait for the right timing, sort of pace them out with the other books that I know I for sure want to read in fall and make sure that I can get to those first before getting to these. But the first of those is Legendborn. I just need to do it. I've had the first two books for a long time now, over a year, and then I refused to buy the third book because it only has hardback and I need paperback because I have the first two in paperback. So we're gonna wait to buy the third one, but I have the first two. It's about time that I start this series. I know I'm gonna love it, which is why I keep pushing it off. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either, but that's why we're here. We're hoping to get this read soon. My thought for this is like end of October, early November-y kind of timing, maybe like going into the winter. I'm not really sure, but I'm hoping to get this read soon. Also, this is in the like list of books for like the Goodreads challenge things. This is in one of them, and so it might be a good idea to read this so that I can get the little bookmark stampy thing that Goodreads gives out when you complete one of their challenges, even though it means nothing. But something in my brain says that we accomplished something when I get one of those challenge rewards. So I'll probably read this to fulfill that challenge and to also get it off of my shelf of books that need to be read that have been on that shelf for a very long time. And so yeah, this is on our list, and if I like this as much as I think I will, then I'm probably not going to wait that long to read the second one, but we'll see when we get there. The other book that's on my list to read in fall, but I'm not really sure when I want to read it, it'll probably be a mood read kind of a situation, is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. In my ideal brain world, I would be trying to read this in September, before we get into like spookier season vibes, but I just recently finished The Enchanted Greenhouse. This one up here, I'll put a picture of it there. Yeah, I just recently finished that and it put me into a reading slump, and so I'm a little worried about jumping right back into like a cozy fantasy kind of a vibe. And so this is on the list, but I'm a little worried about it. And so I'm not sure when I'm gonna get to it. We're gonna try to get to it, but I don't know when. And I'm not gonna make any promises that it's going to be in the next month. It might be towards the end of fall, but we're gonna try to do it this fall because I think if I don't read it in the fall, then I'm going to push it off until next fall, and I can't own this another extra year. Makes sense. Okay, so if we somehow miraculously finish all of those books that I just talked about, and it's still fall, then I've got a couple fall to winter transition books that I have on my TBR. Might get pushed off to winter if we don't have enough time to read them in the fall. We'll read in fall if we're having a really good reading season and we're getting through some books pretty quick. The first of those is Private Rights by Julia Armfield. I liked Our Wives Under the Sea, and the atmosphere of this is giving fall into wintry, kind of wet, gloomy vibes. So we're adding it to the end of the TBR stack in case I have time to get to it. The last book on this TBR that really should just be added to a December TBR because I don't think there's any way that I'm going to get through all of the books I already mentioned. But in case I happen to, Somewhere Beyond the Sea is the last book on this TBR. This is the sequel to The House on the Cerulean Sea, and I adored that book, and so reading this just feels like closure that I don't care to have right now. But I would love to revisit those characters again soon, so I think that it's time to pick this up and finally read it, as it's been sitting on my shelf since the day it came out. Oops. But yeah, so this is the last physical book that I own that I plan on reading in the fall if I have time. If not, this will for sure be a winter read for me. So the last sort of section of books that I should talk about before letting you go is audiobooks. I listen to a ton of audiobooks because I teach on a college campus, and it's about a half an hour drive to campus for me, and so I get about an hour of audiobook listening in on my drive, and I also get another half an hour to an hour as I set up for my class. And so I have really been eating up the audiobooks lately, but it's hard to make a TBR on them for me because I am terrible at scheduling Libby holds, which means I typically just click the available now filter on Libby and scroll until I see something that I'm like, oh, that's nice, and then I read that. So it's hard for me to list off some books that I hope to listen to this fall, but my audiobooks usually tend to be either like a goofy fun time. That's where I would listen to sort of romances or thrillers, like of the Frida McFadden vibe, that I don't feel like purchasing with my own money. And then I also listen to some like nonfiction on there as well. Right now, the only book that I know I'm going to be listening to this fall is the X-Hex. That's because I have it checked out now. I'll probably start that in a day or two. So I know for sure we're going to get to that. Beyond that, I don't have a super strong idea, but I would like to see if I could get my hands on, is it My Roommate is a Vampire? I think that's what it is. Really cute cover. Sounds like a fun time in October. That would be fun to get to. And then I would also like to listen to a Riley Sager book this fall. I've read a couple books by Riley Sager. I've read The Middle of the Night and The Only One Left. And I've heard good things about Home After Dark, I believe it's called. And I would like to listen to that if I can find an audiobook of that that's available at some point. So yeah, that's my tentative audiobook plan for the fall to go along with the physical TBR that I talked about. I'm really excited about a lot of these books. I think that some of them are going to be my favorite books of the year. I also think that it's just going to be nice to get back into the physical books that I have. I've been spending a lot of time reading on my Kindle and listening to books, but something about just holding the book and reading it hits different in the fall. And so I think that's going to be a great goal for me, is to get through some of those physical books that I have. And I'm excited that so many of them seem to fit with the fall atmosphere that I'm going for. If you've read any of these books before, I would love to hear what your thoughts were on them, and I will see you in the next one.